Most people run from suffering. They think pain is the enemy. They avoid it, numb it, and hide from it. But let me tell you something. Suffering is the greatest teacher you'll ever have. It's the forge that burns away weakness and builds the kind of strength no comfort zone can give you. When you hit that wall, when your body is screaming and your mind is begging you to quit, that's the moment of truth. That's where you find out who you really are. Not when it's easy, not when you're winning, but when everything inside you says, stop. Suffering exposes you. It strips away excuses, ego, and illusions. It forces you to decide, are you going to break or are you going to rise? And here's the secret. Suffering doesn't just punish, it transforms. Every rep in pain, every step in exhaustion, every tear you push through, it's a down payment on a stronger version of yourself. You don't grow in comfort. You don't build resilience on the couch. You become unbreakable by embracing the very thing most people run from. That's the power of suffering. It turns ordinary people into warriors. So don't curse your suffering. Don't run from it. Use it. Lean into it. Because inside that pain is the version of you that you've been chasing all your life. Suffering is a teacher, but it doesn't teach with kindness. It doesn't pat you on the back or hand you a trophy just for showing up. It comes in the form of doubt, exhaustion, failure, and pain. And in those moments, when everything inside you wants to retreat, suffering delivers the hardest lessons. It shows you where your weaknesses are hiding, the cracks in your armor you didn't want to admit were there. Most people never face this truth because they never stick around long enough in the fire to see it. When suffering steps in, it strips away the stories you tell yourself. It doesn't care about your excuses, your past victories, or the image you try to project to the world. In pain, there's no pretending. You can't fake endurance. You can't fake discipline. You can't fake grit. The lessons suffering teaches you are raw and unforgiving, but they're also honest. It reveals exactly who you are in that moment. No filters, no masks. What makes suffering powerful is that it doesn't just expose weakness. It dares you to confront it. It doesn't whisper. It screams. It asks, are you going to fold under pressure, or are you willing to fight through it? This is where suffering becomes a mirror. Most people avoid looking into that mirror because they don't want to see the truth. But if you can face it, if you can stay in the struggle long enough, that same suffering becomes the instructor that teaches you discipline, resilience, and mental toughness. Every setback, every failure, every grueling moment that tests you is a lesson in disguise. The lesson isn't written in words. It's carved into your body, stamped into your mind, and etched into your spirit. You don't learn by reading about pain. You learn by living it. And once you've been through that classroom, once you've survived the lessons suffering forces on you, you carry that knowledge forever. It becomes a part of you, a strength no one can take away. Growth lives in discomfort, and that's a truth most people don't want to accept. We're wired to seek comfort, to chase what feels good, to avoid anything that threatens our sense of ease. But comfort is the enemy of progress. When you stay in the safe zone, nothing changes. You don't push your limits. You don't stretch your capacity. And you don't discover what you're truly capable of. Real growth doesn't happen in the warm glow of convenience. It happens in the cold, harsh reality of discomfort. Every breakthrough in life is born in a place where you wanted to quit. That's because discomfort is the signal that you you're operating beyond your current level. Think about it. The body only grows stronger when the muscles are torn and forced to rebuild. The mind only sharpens when it's pressured and challenged. Discomfort is proof that you're no longer coasting, you're climbing. And while most people stop the second they feel resistance, the ones who learn to embrace it find themselves evolving in ways they never thought possible. Discomfort also builds resilience in a way nothing else can. When you willingly step into situations that make you uneasy, whether it's physical pain, emotional struggle, or mental challenge, you're training yourself to survive the storm instead of running from it. You develop calluses not just on your hands or your body, but on your mind. And with every repetition, every moment you push through that sting of struggle, you're reinforcing a new standard for yourself. What once felt impossible becomes normal. What once broke you becomes fuel. The problem is, people confuse discomfort with danger. They think if something feels hard, it must be wrong. But discomfort isn't a warning. It's a doorway. On the other side of that unease is strength, clarity, and transformation. Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes dressed as pain, sweat, doubt, and an uncertainty. If you're feeling uncomfortable, it means you're exactly where you need to be, on the edge of who you are, and on the verge of who you could become. Pain is transformation, but only if you let it be. Most people see pain as punishment, as something unfair or cruel, and they do everything they can to escape it. But pain isn't the end, it's the process. Every time you push through pain, you're rewriting who you are. It's not about suffering for the sake of suffering. It's about what that struggle builds inside you. Pain has the power to tear down the weaker version of you and force the stronger version to emerge. When you're in pain, every excuse you've ever relied on shows up. Your mind tries to negotiate, tries to convince you that quitting is justified, that comfort is safer. That battle inside you, that's transformation in motion. Pain is the catalyst that forces you to either submit or adapt. And when you adapt, when you endure, you don't just get stronger physically, you reshape your identity. You prove to yourself that you're capable of more than your mind ever allowed you to believe. Pain also humbles you. It breaks down arrogance and forces respect for the struggle. When you bled, cried, and fought through something most people would run from, you carry a different kind of power. Not loud, not showy, but a quiet confidence born from survival. You understand that real growth doesn't come easy, and you stop expecting it to. Pain teaches patience, it teaches persistence, and it teaches you that transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's earned in every difficult moment you refuse to quit. And what's powerful about pain is that it leaves a mark. It's not just temporary suffering, it's a permanent reminder of what you endured. Scars, whether physical or mental, are proof of transformation. They tell the story of where you've been and what you've overcome. Every tear you fought through, every obstacle you clawed past, becomes a brick in the foundation of the person you're building. Pain is transformation because it doesn't just change what you can do. It changes who you are. Suffering strips away excuses because when you're in the thick of it, there's nowhere to hide. The moment you're pushed to your breaking point, the stories you tell yourself, the reasons why you can't, why you shouldn't, why it's okay to quit, get exposed for what they really are: lies. Pain doesn't care about your justifications. It doesn't listen to your rationalizations. In suffering, All that matters is whether you keep moving forward or stop. That's the raw truth most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid. Excuses thrive in comfort. They grow in easy circumstances where you can convince yourself that you're already doing enough. But when you're face to face with struggle, when your body is shaking and your mind is screaming, those excuses lose all power. You can't talk your way through suffering. You either endure it or you don't. And in that moment, you find out the difference between who you think you are and who you really are. Suffering forces you to choose. It presents a simple, brutal question. Are you going to break? Or are you going to rise? There's no middle ground, no shortcut, no easy answer. That's why suffering is such a powerful filter. It separates the ones who only talk about strength from the ones who live it. And the truth is, most people never make it past this point because they cling to excuses like a shield. But those who let the suffering burn away, the excuses are the ones who discover just how strong they can become. When you endure suffering, you stop giving power to the little voices that say, "Not today," or "I can't." You realize those voices never had control over you. They were just distractions. Pain has a way of simplifying life. It narrows the focus down to action: step forward or step back, push or quit, rise or fall. In that clarity, excuses vanish. And once you've seen yourself move through suffering without leaning on them, you'll never believe those lies again. Embrace suffering. Don't fear it, because fear of pain is what keeps most people locked in mediocrity. The second they feel the sting of discomfort, they run, they retreat, they hide. But suffering isn't there to destroy you. It's there to sharpen you. Every time you choose to lean into it, instead of turning away, you take control. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start becoming the master of your response. That's where real strength begins. Suffering is fuel if you allow it to be. The energy you get from pain isn't the kind that feels good in the moment. It's the kind that lasts. The kind that builds endurance and grit. When you embrace suffering, you flip the script. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you start saying, "Try me." You begin to see every obstacle not as a wall, but as an opportunity to prove what you're made of. That mindset shift is what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who rise because of it. When you make suffering your ally, you stop living in fear of it. You know it's going to hurt. You know it's going to push you to your limits. But you also know that inside that pain lies the path to your greatest growth. People who fear suffering spend their lives running in circles, avoiding the very thing that could set them free. But those who embrace it find freedom on the other side, because they no longer waste energy resisting the inevitable. The power of suffering is that it transforms pain into progress. It turns fear into courage, doubt into discipline, and weakness into strength. The moment you stop fearing suffering and start using it, you step into a life without limits. Every hardship becomes fuel, every challenge becomes a lesson, and every setback becomes a stepping stone. That's the truth. Most people never see suffering isn't your enemy. It's the doorway to becoming unstoppable.